Hi, it's Lori from LoriStory.com. This video is the first in a series of Cricut Explore basic tutorials designed to introduce you to the Cricut Explore and Cricut Design Space software. In this video, we will be exploring the design work area, the tools, the Make It Now projects, as well as utilizing the Cricut library. So you got a brand new Cricut. Congratulations! A few things you need to do to get started. First thing you're going to do is open your browser. I'm using Mozilla Firefox. You can also use Google Chrome, Safari, Internet Explorer. I think Google Chrome and Firefox work really well. To get started, let's go to Cricut.com. This will bring us to the home screen. We want to click on the Cricut Design Space. Cricut Design Space is a software that powers the Cricut Explore. The first thing that's going to come up is this short little video that will show you exactly what the Explorer can do. You can watch that when you have a chance, but for now we'll just click on the X. What we're going to do is click on the Login button in the upper left corner. This will bring in the login screen. If you've already had a Cricut and say you were using the Cricut Craft Room, you've already got a login and password. It's going to be the same thing for this. If you're brand new to the Cricut family and you've never used any of the online software products with Cricut, you're going to need to create one. So then you would go to Create New Account and you will fill in your information here and set up a password. I already have an account, so I'm going to put in my password. Okay, so here we are. What are we looking at? This is what is called the Make It Now projects. And there are a bunch of them. And what this is are pre-made projects. Cricut has put these together for you. You don't have to do any thinking. They're all sized, they're all colored, they're all laid out. All you need to do, we'll just look at one. We'll pull this first one by Anna Griffin up. It gives you all the directions, tells you what files are going to be used, and the cost of it. This is part of the new release by Anna Griffin, so these aren't available yet, but they're coming soon. And it also gives you the Customize button. What that does, if you hit Customize, it will bring up the project on your mat as it is already designed, and it will give you a chance to go in and customize it. So let's pull this down a little bit so you can see it. Oops. Okay, so this is the project, or this is the cut files that are needed to make the Christmas boxes or the Christmas ornaments. If you wanted to go in here and say you wanted your bows to be a different color, it gives you a chance to go in and customize those. We'll get more into that in a later video, but I wanted to show you what the Make It Now projects are. Okay, so that's how Make It Now is. If you hit just Make It Now, what that does is take you directly to, well, we'll just hit it. Takes you directly to your cutting mats. You bypass the opportunity to go in there and change any sizes or change any colors or customize the image in any way. It's going to just take you right to, here we go, right to the cutting mats, and all you would have to do is load your material, load it in your machine, and you'll be ready to go. So there you would see you need dark green paper. You're going to cut 4 of those, and so on. Again, we'll get back to this soon, but I just wanted to kind of give you an overview of what those projects are, and that I really encourage you to take the time to look through them. There's some really fun home decor and t-shirts and boxes and all kinds of things, and there's more all the time. You have to keep checking back. This is where we're going to focus. This is the Create New Project from scratch, so we're going to click on that. And what this is going to do is take us to the virtual mat, which is where we're going to do most of our work when we're in Design Space. And this is it. This is our work area. Everything we do here is going to correlate to our project. You can see there's a ruler on the top and there's a ruler on the left. You have the File button. This is where you can go to the projects, which are the Make It Now projects. You can start a new project. You can open an existing project. And this is the Save As. It's not grayed out right now because we don't have anything to save. The next button we have is Save, which again is going to save your projects. Here's some of my projects that I have already created. And it saves, Cricut Design Space saves all your projects within the software. So what that means is if you go to another computer, say I go to my laptop, all my projects are going to be on that computer as well. No matter where you're at, when you pull it up, all your saved projects and all your images are going to be available to you. Okay, the next button, it's grayed out, but it says do, undo, and redo. And that does exactly what it says. If you draw a circle and you decide, oops, I don't want a circle, you can hit undo. And if you say, oh, yes, I do want that circle, you can hit redo and bring it back. Cut. Cut is equal to delete. It will get rid of it. Copy, just like in any word processing or any other software program. Copy, you click on an item, you hit copy, it's going to copy it to the clipboard, and then you can click the next button, which is paste, and it will make a duplicate copy. Select all. That will select everything that's on your mat. And I know I'm going over these really briefly. We're going to get more into them in a later video. I just want to give you an idea of what is in Design Space when you pull it up. Arrange. This button correlates with your layers, and we will go into that in more detail in a little bit. But what this does is you can imagine this as your desktop that you're working on, and there's a piece of paper that's directly on the desktop, and then there's a piece of paper on top of it. And by switching these buttons, you can say, no, I want this top piece of paper on the bottom. So it just arranges your whatever is closest to the top. The Go button, you'll use this a lot. This is the one you use when you've got your project all ready to go and you're ready to send it to the Explorer. We have some buttons over here. We have Edit, which is where we're going to go to resize our images, to place them in different places on the mat to line them up. We have Layers, which is, again, correlates with this arrange. It will say where in the stack your pieces of paper are or your images are. Sync, I'm going to go into that later. And Canvas. On this side we have Insert Images. This takes us to our Cricut library. We have Upload Image. This is where we will bring in third-party images, such as JPEG files, GIF files, PNG files, SVGs. Any kind of third-party image that you're going to bring in, you'll use this button. This is our Text button. And this is your Set Canvas button. Here we have the Zoom Out and Zoom In, and your oh-so-handy Help button. Okay, so now that we have a basic idea of what is available here, let's start looking into these buttons a little bit. The first one we're going to check out is the Insert Images. Let's click on that. This takes you to your Cricut library. This is where you're going to have all your Cricut cartridges. If you have a Cricut subscription, they will be here. I have a subscription, so you can see all the images that I am subscribed to. This is where you're going to go to draw a circle. This is where you're going to go to draw a rectangle. This is where you're going to start, unless you're bringing in a third-party image. This is where you're going to get your images. Okay? What I want to show you first is how to navigate within this menu. There are many ways to look up an item that you're looking for. One is to just use the search button, leave this on all images, and say I am looking for a heart. I can click or write heart, hit my enter button, or you can hit the search button, and this is going to bring up all the hearts that are available to me. And when you scroll down, sometimes you have to wait a little bit. This will spin because more images are coming. Don't think that's the end of it. It's just got to load. There's so many images, it's got to load them separately. Okay, so when I'm looking for a heart, if you have linked your cartridges, it will show them in here, and there won't be an amount due. If you have a subscription, it'll show subscribed. So anything that has subscribed for me, I can use without a charge. Now, if I go to, say, this image, I don't own this image. It's not part of the subscription. It's part of the Disney Mickey and Friends, which is a licensed image, and those are not part of the subscription. But I can buy this image for $1.49. I can even play with this image, and until I go to cut it, I won't get charged. So if you want to open those images, feel free to open them and look at them and see if it's something you want to purchase. You're not going to be charged until you try to cut it. Okay, so that is one way to search. You can also pull this down, and this is all image sets. And what this is doing is looking for any image set is like a Cricut cartridge. That's basically what it's saying. And it's looking for any cartridge that has the word hearts in it. And there is a cartridge called Sweethearts, and there's a cartridge called Inspired Heart. And since I'm in the cartridge menu, if I double click on this, it's going to show me everything that's in that image set or that cartridge. So there's a whole bunch more in there. Okay. So now we're going to go back. There's also My Images. This will just show me any image that I own or that I'm subscribed to that has a heart in it. So I can use any of these. Those are just my images. Okay, and we have one more. Oops, you can't see it. There we go. My image sets, which means my cartridges. And there are cartridges included in this subscription. But again, it's using this word heart, and it's only pulling up the things with heart in it. So these are my cartridges that have hearts. These are my images that have hearts. These are all, either whether I own them or not, in case I want to buy a new one. And this is all images. Okay, so let's go back to all images. Now we can even put some filters on when we're trying to search. We click this little filter button, and we can say, I just want single layer hearts. I just want one heart. I don't want to layer it on anything. I don't want any design on it. I just want one single layer heart. And this is all the one layer images. I can go multi-layer, which will bring up the hearts that have multiple layers that make them up. So this obviously has a green layer, and it has the heart layer. This one has a light green and then the dark green. Okay, so I can say I want all images with a heart and that are cards or envelopes. So this is bringing up all the cards and envelopes that have hearts. And it goes on and on and on. There's layered images, non-layered images, phrases that have hearts in them. I could go to animals and wildlife that has a heart in it. See, there's a dog with a heart. There's a sheep, or I guess that's a poodle. Some lovebirds, a frog. So you can really get down to the nitty-gritty if you're looking for something specific. Okay, now there is also a cartridge, and I'm going to go to My Image Sets, which is a cartridge, and it's called Cricut Craft Room. So I'm going to put Cricut Craft, and this is Cricut Craft Room Basics. This is a free cartridge or free image set. So we can click on that. All these images come with the design space, and they're free. You want to draw a square, a circle, a heart, a star, a ornate label, a cloud, a conversation bubble, Christmas tree. All of these are free to use whether you own a cartridge, own a subscription, or not. These are yours to use. So let's just click on one and see what we have here. We'll use the scalloped heart. Scalloped heart. Okay, so you can see this looks like just a single scalloped blue heart. But there's a layer behind this that we can't see, and we can't see it because there is an eyeball over here and it has a slash through it. And when you see that, it means there's something there, but it's turned off. So let's turn it on. Let's just click on the eyeball and it will turn it on. And that's, don't see it, you can see it. That's why it looks like an eye. Now you see there's a black layer behind that. But if we try to move this blue heart off of the black layer, we can't. What we have to do, these are grouped together. They're moving as one piece no matter what. I can't click on just one piece and move it. So what we have to do is click on it. It's selected, and we know it's selected because there's a box around it. Right click and ungroup. Now that we've ungrouped them, you can see both layers are white. And look, now I have two layers. And I can do whatever I want with either of them. Okay, one thing you need to keep in mind, if you're going to resize your image and it has a shadow layer that you're going to use, you want to make sure that before you do that, before you ungroup them, that you resize them. That's just something to keep in mind. We'll get into that later. But right now I have two separate images and they are right here. So let's go grab another one. Let's say we're going to use this, I don't want a note card. Let's grab the scallop circle. Insert. Now again, these are grayed out, or blue, so you know they're grouped together. That means they're one thing, but look, there's another image there. And we can't slide this off. So what we have to do, turn the image on. Now we can see it. Still can't move it. Right click, ungroup. Now we have two images. Okay, this is our layers panel. And what this does is, this is our desktop. This is the paper that is on the top of our stack of papers. This is the paper that's on the very bottom. And what I mean by that is if I move these images around, this is the one that was on top, and that's the one that was on bottom. You can see this image is on top of that one. If you look at these two images, the blue one's on top, the black one's on the bottom. I can't put this one in front of the blue one just by sliding it. Look at this image. The blue one's on the top, the black one's on the bottom. Again, the blue one's on the top, the black one's on the bottom. Just imagine that it's pieces of paper on your desktop or two hearts on your desktop and you put one on top. That's what the layers panel does. This button right here, you can change that. And I can say, I want this blue heart to be in front of the scallop circle and the scallop shadow. So what I do is I go arrange, and you have options here. I can move the blue scalloped heart backwards or put it further down in my stack of papers. I can move it forward. I can bring it up, and by moving it forward, it's going to bring it up just one layer, not to the very top, but just one layer. This one, move to the back. This will put it all the way to the bottom of my workspace. And this one will bring it to the very front. So if I click this one, now this blue heart is on top of everything. Let's try that again. Now my black heart is underneath the blue heart. It's underneath the blue scallop. And I believe it's underneath that black scallop circle. I should have used a different color. But let's put this one on the top. We want to be able to put this on the top of the blue layer, on top of the blue scallop. So what we do, we click Arrange, and we bring it to the front. And now this is in front. It's in front. So that's what the Arrange button does. And that's the significance of the layers. You can turn them off and on. Say I don't want to cut the shadow layers. I can turn them off. And now I'm just left with my two original shapes. I do want to cut them. I turn them on. I'm not going to use this. I don't want to mess with it. I can click Delete. I don't want this one. I can click Delete. Now, what if I want to put two more hearts on there? I can click this one. Oops. I click on the image. Click on this one. Hit Duplicate. Now I have two hearts. I can do that again. Duplicate. Now I have three hearts. So that's the significance of the layer panel. Now the next thing I want to talk about is the edit panel. The layers panel and the edit panel are probably two that you're going to use the most. And I like to keep them off to the side so I can see them both. But you can, if you don't like all that on your desktop, you can close it out. You can go back to it at any time by clicking either of these buttons. Okay, so now that brings us to the edit button. We're in the edit button. We're going to click on a heart. I'm going to move these out of the way. We're going to click on this heart. And what can we do in the edit button? We can say, I want this heart to be 5 inches wide. And if this little lock button is locked in the lock position like it is right now, we just put the one side in. We'll put 5 inches on the width, and it will automatically figure out what the height needs to be to keep this in proportion. So there we go. Now say I want to make a tall skinny heart, and I don't want to keep these proportions. I can unclick the lock, which opens it, and now I can say I want a 5-inch by 3-inch. So this is going to make a short stubby heart. Or I could say I want a 5-inch by 7 inches. It's going to be longer than it is wider. So that's just what you do with the lock button. If it's locked, it will keep it in proportion. I want let's do the height this time. I want a 5-inch high heart. It's going to keep those proportions, but make it 5 inches, and it automatically determined what the width needs to be to do that. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that, and we'll use this one. The next button is Rotate. What this does is exactly what you think it does. Say I want to rotate this heart 45 degrees. There we go. Now my heart is tilted. This comes in handy if you're designing something and you want everything to be at a specific angle. Okay, so that's the rotate button. And we can change it as many times as you want. 90 degrees. So now it's 90 degrees from its original starting point. Next button we have is the mirror image. This is a horizontal mirror. So if I took this heart and I mirrored it, you didn't really see much happen. This switched. But if you imagine that I just flipped this heart, I took the top and I brought it down here and flipped it over, it's going to look the same. So that's why that didn't look like it changed. If I use the vertical mirror, you're going to see more what it does. There you go. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is also in the rotate button, there are little dots here. And if I click on this heart that we've turned sideways, and I want it back in the upright position, I can just click on the upper I would call it like a 12 o'clock button, the upper dot, and click it and it will turn it right back. If I want it upside down, I can click the bottom one and I want it back up. So that is one other way to rotate. Now, the next thing we can do is go to the position button, and this is your X and Y coordinates. You'll see the heart is on X-axis of 8.97 and the Y-axis at 1.56. So let's see what happens if we grab the circle and we put that on 8.97 on the X. 8.97. These are vertically aligned perfectly because this is your X-axis. Okay, so let's take the heart, and the Y-axis is 1.56. If we go to the scalloped heart and we put, or I'm sorry, the scalloped circle, and we put the same Y, it's going to line those up exactly in line with each other. So if you're trying to line up two things this direction, you're going to use the Y coordinates. And I can show you that one more time. It'll be easier like this. The Y is on, the heart is on 3.15. We'll put the scallop circle on 3.15. And now those two are perfectly aligned. If I wanted to line them up vertically, I would use the Y coordinate. And we'll say I would use the X coordinate. So I want to line these up vertically. I'm going to use the X coordinate. The heart is at 4.7. We'll put this at 4.7. And now those are lined up vertically. So the X is the vertical, the Y is the horizontal. And that's the edit panel. Okay, now I've explained a broad overview of what the basic tools are that we work with. The edit panel, the layer panel, the arrange panel. Oh, let's try the select all just while we're at it. So we'll hit select all. And it does exactly what it says. It selected everything on our mat. And we could copy those. And we could paste those. Now, say I don't want the extra set, I can hit cut. And it will delete them. And I can say, yes, I do want those. I didn't mean to do that. Undo. Love the undo redo. Oh, no, I don't want it. Yes, I do. These are lifesavers quite often. Okay. So we've had a broad overview of all these tools on the top, except for the sync, which we'll get to later. Okay, so this is what we want to cut. We're done with our project. The next thing we're going to do is hit the go button. And what that's doing is it's thinking, and what just happened was the Cricut Design Space decided this is the best way to put this on your paper. You need one sheet of blue paper, or you don't have to use the color that it says. You can put any color paper you want, but one sheet of the same colored paper, and you can cut all 4 pieces on one page. But if, say you don't have a 12-inch wide piece of paper and you don't want to cut it that way, you have a scrap or a smaller piece, at this time, you can move these images. Say I want to cut these like this because I have a smaller piece of paper. Totally doable. This is the only chance you get to move them though. Okay, so I want to cut those images on my Cricut in that order. Next thing I need to do, I have 12 by 12 material. Just leave that at 12 by 12. The other option is 12 by 24 if you're using the extra large mat. There isn't an option for 8.5 by 11 yet, but you don't really need it. You can tell by looking at your mat and counting the squares. There is a grid line here. I don't know if you can see it, exactly how big it is. So just leave that at 12 by 12. If you were doing a t-shirt or using vinyl or something that you needed to mirror the image, this is where you would do that. You would do it now. We're not doing that, so I'm just going to leave that go. And if you used images that you had not purchased or that were not free images or not part of your subscription that did have a charge, it would show you what you're going to owe right here. These were all free images, so we don't have to worry about that. So we hit go again. And now this brings up a screen that's going to go through exactly what you need to do. The first thing, it's thinking right now. Okay, now it's telling me I need to mount your material on your cutting mat, push and hold the mat against the rollers, and press the blinking load mat button, which is the blinking arrow button. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to load my paper so that the upper left corner of the mat is where the paper is located. And I'm going to load it into my machine. And it's the button that's blinking that looks just like that to load the paper. The next thing, and this is what I love, you don't forget to change your dial. You don't forget to change your medium. It says set. Set the dial by turning it to the material you're using. So on your Cricut, you're going to use this dial and select the material. And as you turn that dial, you can see mine's set on vinyl right now, but as I turn this on my machine, it's changing. And so I'm a paper crafter most of the time. I use cardstock or vinyl. So I have mine set on cardstock, and all that's left to do is press the blinking Cricut C light on the machine, which is the middle button right here. And that's all you have to do. Sit back and watch it cut. When you're done, you'll hit the unload button, which is the button that looks like this, and it's located right there. And that's it. You have just completed your first cut on the Cricut Explorer. In the next lesson, we're going to go over editing images more. We'll go into the copy and the paste and the weld and the slice. We'll cover this color sync button as well as a few other things. Thanks so much for watching. If you're part of